I'd like to admit that sometimes I have this speech problem where I'll be thinking one thing and then something else ends up coming out of my mouth. Or because I forget the official terminology, I end up defaulting to something stupid that isn't the right thing. So, I talked in a previous video that I titled, "My people know not what they do, heaven help us." What I said was ultimately that our the way that I stated it, I said as though we had nuclear reactors, that were, responsible for oil. Wrong statement. Refiners, as a correction. Our refiners are not set up to process light crude, which means we can drill, baby, drill all we fucking want, and all that oil is just going to be exported to foreign markets and not even make a dent in the price that Americans will pay at the gas pump. Shale does not affect prices at the US pumps at all. We still import every fucking drop of oil that goes into those pumps from the Saudis. It's still entirely OPEC oil. Hate to break it to you, the era of the OPEC cartels is not over. And all these attempts to pin shit on Biden, is stated by people who don't get the hopelessness of the situation that we're in and the despair of all of it. It does not matter who's in the White House if, OPEC does not want to lower or boost production when there's a demand spike for gasoline, you know, fuck us. We're fucked. It doesn't fucking matter what we do. We're fucked. Period. I hate to break it to you. Like, even the most powerful man in the world is absolutely impotent before OPEC. I mean, there are maybe residual things that he can do, like open up the strategic reserve to provide some relief. But, I mean, that's there for a reason. It exists for a reason, and using it just to lower prices is not really what it's supposed to be there for, as far as all that stuff is concerned. And you know, rewinding. So, this sly attempt to pin it on Biden. And no, I'm not somebody that's trying to dodge accountability. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not doing this because, I want Biden to be blameless or unaccountable for the things that he does or any of that shit. I'm saying it because it's technically true. Biden can't do fuck all about the decisions that OPEC makes, and OPEC repeatedly refused to boost oil production, which means that they are exclusively and entirely responsible for elevated gas prices at the pumps. It's on them and them alone. And any attempt to pretend otherwise is just misinformed or a warped perspective at best. That's the reality you live in. I mean, and this is the whole problem, is that, a lot of the people that vote Republican or whoever avidly, become MAGA, they don't understand markets. They might think they understand economics, but they don't really. Like, that's the Dunning Kruger effect showing up, where this person, might have learned a thing or two about economics and now thinks they understand it like a PhD, level person. But no, they don't understand shit about economics. They think they do. They don't. If they did, I don't think they'd be so lockstep in favor of the Republican Party. I mean, they would probably look at the Democrats and be like, yeah, there are some things here that don't make fiscal sense, but it still makes more sense on the other party. They would be thinking that, if they actually understood economics. But no, I mean, it doesn't help any for anything that we've got a bunch of Austrians running left and all over the fucking place, acting like what they do is sound, reasonable policy or anything. But as a commentary on the world of economics, I would state into the record that rationalism as a way of looking at the sciences died out a number of years ago in favor of empiricism in pretty much every other field, which makes any type of economics that refuses to embrace empiricism to be a pseudoscience at best. Sorry, Austrian economics is pseudoscientific bullshit. Hate to break it to you. Because of its enduring popularity, it is overrated bullshit. It's voodoo economics, and unfortunately, it's wildly popular on this particular platform. So if you see somebody calling themselves an Austrian economist, you should just point at them and laugh. They're a clown. They're not meant to be taken seriously. And if you point any of this shit out to the Austrians, like they don't listen, they won't listen, they'll think something, they'll say something about it in response to it. But see, the thing is that empiricism is the scientific method. So by by rejecting it, you're basically saying that economics should not apply scientific thinking to it. We should, apply some of our own, folk wisdom to things. Like because we the rural incompetents who have done no actual research or anything think the thoughts that are in our head and our theoretical understanding of the economy can be applied in some way to the real world when in fact it cannot. It's absolutely nuts. A guy just a number of years ago, like back in 2019, I believe, won the Nobel Prize because of the fact that he refuted one of the central premises in Econ 101, which was that if you raise minimum wage, the unemployment numbers will go up. Well, we found out that that wasn't actually true. The guy who did it won the Nobel Prize. And, if the average American understood just how much of the horseshit that you've been fed was based on assumptions that were never actually empirically tested and verified, I think they would be stunned and horrified. We are a society where, unfortunately, a lot of the shit that's been allowed to run, and been voted into office so many times has just been assumptive bullshit that has, been opinionated crap, but it's ideological and it has not actually ever been subjected to, rational inquiry and skepticism. I mean, there are thoughts that are out there, like, the private sector being always so much more efficient than the public one, like, and this is just this. Maybe it is the case some of the time, but because it is, you have people that are running wild with speculative bullshit that this is always the case, and that it generalizes to every single example in such a way where there's never an exception where the public sector ever does it better. That's just not fundamentally possible under that ideological framework. And those kinds of thoughts, unfortunately, they are never tested. I mean, when you went into your economics course, and if you're an economics student, I would highly encourage you, when you're reading those textbooks, to confront your professor and say, where's the fucking citations for that justify claiming any of this shit? Where are they? you know that's what you should be saying, is objection, citation required. The whole Wikimedia objection, like that should be, economists should be confronted with that a lot more often. And what we need in the economics profession is definitely a movement towards empiricism, because this is what the rest of the sciences use. So economists should not be able to get away with trying to be an exception to it. Fuck you, fall in line.